quarterback is the most important position in college football. I know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. And very rarely do teams see a lot of team success without being at least serviceable at quarterback. Most championship caliber teams don't win in spite of their quarterback play. They win because of their quarterback play. And that's why it's the most important position. Knowing that it's the most important position, the discussions about who's the best, who are the top 5, who are the top 10, 15, 20 quarterbacks in college football is always an interesting discussion. And one of the things that kind of exacerbates that discussion is the rankings from EA Sports College Football 2026. They have released the rankings for their top 5 rated quarterbacks in the game. So I think it's an interesting discussion about who did make the list and who maybe has a case to make the list. So the top 5 players, 3 finished with the same exact overall rating, 92 overall. Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik, LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, and Penn State quarterback Drew Allar. I'm an on-the-record questioner of Drew Allar. When he has time to stand in the pocket, stand there all day and throw, is he the best quarterback in America? Probably. If he has to move at all, he becomes an average to below average quarterback. Cade Klubnik, I think, is a pretty good player. Is he 92 overall and should be tied for the best quarterback in the game? I think he could absolutely make that argument. I'm an on-the-record guy that I think Garrett Nussmeier is the first overall pick in the NFL draft in 2026. And if he's not, I think Brian Kelly has to answer some questions about why Garrett Nussmeier is not the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft. I don't think Drew Allar is tied for the best quarterback in college football. And if I have to die alone on that hill, that's fine. But Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik absolutely have cases to make that they deserve to be the top-rated quarterback in the game. I have no qualms with that. Sam Leavitt had a really good campaign at Arizona State last year. I wonder what the sophomore season looks like for him without Cam Scatterbo, because he's going to have to carry the entire load in 2025 and not Cam Scatterbo. And I don't know that you have a whole lot of reason to think that he can't do it. I just feel like that might be premature to say Sam Leavitt is one of the 5 highest rated players at the position in the game. And then Lenora Sellers, like Sam Leavitt, had a really big 2024, and the expectations are sky high. I think both Arizona State and South Carolina's hopes this year rely on Sam Leavitt playing out of his mind and Lenora Sellers playing out of his mind. And even if those 2 players play out of their minds, I feel like there's still a decent chance that they don't get to where they want to go. So those are the top 5 rated quarterbacks, 92, 92, 92, and 91, 91. Which leads me to wonder, what are the overall ratings for players like Arch Manning at Texas, Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, Iowa State quarterback Rocco Becht, Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King, Florida's DJ Lagway? If these 5 guys are 91s and 92s, what are Rocco Becht, John Mateer, Haynes King, DJ Lagway? Because they're not far behind. And I would venture to guess that if EA Sports College Football 26 released the top 10 quarterbacks in their rankings, you might see those 5 names next. Can you make the case for DJ Lagway instead of Sam Leavitt? Yeah, I think so. Lagway threw way more interceptions than Sam Leavitt did last year. But Haynes King threw way fewer interceptions and is similarly athletically built as Sam Levitt, as Lenora Sellers. Rocco Becht at Iowa State, I think the Cyclones' whole chances of them having a remotely successful 2025 relies on Rocco Becht playing at a really high level. Furthermore, I think that Brent Venables' job at Oklahoma might rest on how well John Mateer plays. There are a lot of different factors into what goes into a high-rated quarterback. And I think, one, experience matters. You look through the top five. Cade Klubnik played a lot of football. So have Drew Allar and Garrett Nussmeier. As I mentioned, I think if you were to go down the list of who is likely to be in the next group of top 10 quarterbacks, John Mateer's played a lot of football. Rocco Becht and Haynes King have started a lot of games for their teams. Experience matters. But also, if you look at these players, Lenora Sellers, big dude. And I think that's where some of this gets lost, because DJ Lagoy is 6'3", 240, and that might be giving him a little bit of grace. Sam Levitt, 6'2", 200 pounds. Lenora Sellers, 6'3", 240 pounds. When you go Drew Allar, 6'5", 230 pounds. Excuse me. Cade Klubnik, also a rather large dude at the quarterback position. There are a couple of things that factor into these rankings that I don't know that factor into the actual how much these players are good, right? Because if I were to ask you, close your eyes and picture me a prototypical NFL star quarterback, you're thinking somebody who's between 6'3", 6'5", between 210 to 230 pounds, has a rocket right arm. You're picturing Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, guys who fit that bill. Like it or not, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Allar fit that bill. They are the prototypical dream scenario NFL quarterback. And I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that somebody like John Mateer, who's a little smaller and might not have the pro prospects that somebody like Cade Klubnik, Drew Allar, and Garrett Nussmeier might have. There's a reason that I think somebody like potentially Luke Altmaier at Illinois isn't on the list. Kevin Jennings at SMU, kind of in that same boat of maybe don't fit the prototypical NFL quarterback, and therefore they don't get the recognition. But I'm here to tell you that the quarterback play in college football is as good as it's ever been. You could go down the list for a long time. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, Darian Mensah at Duke. There are a lot of really, really, really good quarterbacks. And the reason it doesn't translate to the NFL, I think, isn't the quarterback's fault, and it isn't the college football coach's fault. I'll let you figure out connect the dots on who I think is to blame for the quarterback play not being as great in the next level of the game. But I find these really interesting that there's not a lot of distinction between these top five players. It's one overall point between the top five. And that's probably why you didn't get the top 10, because I would bet you that numbers 6 through 10 are probably 90 overalls. The other thing that caught my eye is there's no group of 5 players in the top 5 QBs. Interesting. You've got a kind of a pretty big swath there of the college football world, and none of them reached 91 overall at that spot. And I think that's part of the homogenization of the college football rankings with the Madden rankings, right? Like there are very few 95 overall Madden quarterbacks or 99 Madden quarterbacks, where in the decade that before the decade-long pause in the college football 26 video game series, there were a lot. Like you could be a 90 overall and be the quarterback at Toledo or Louisiana Lafayette. That wasn't out of the realm of possibility. I think I liked it better that way. Want to know your thoughts. Did you like the ratings before the game got relaunched, or do you like them better now where it's more closely aligned to Madden? Drop your comments in the comments below. Also wanted to hear your thoughts on who you think the top 5 quarterbacks are. Is Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, and Drew Allar the consensus top 3 quarterbacks in the sport going into 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. I appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we're pumping out. Listen on the podcast feed. Drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.